you doing, everybody? And welcome to Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. I'm your host, Trage. We're back. It is Tuesday, a great Tuesday in the great state of Wisconsin. We got the full crew back today. Austin is back. He went on a hiatus. He didn't like what was going on with the Badgers. He didn't want to talk about it, so he's back today. After, we're going to talk about the Super Bowl. So Austin's like, I'll come back. Now I got to talk about the Super Bowl. So I'll start with Austin. Austin, how we doing after your little day off a weekend? You had like a full weekend there off from the show. How we doing on this Tuesday?
Yeah, I was driving home and you guys wanted to film, and I'm like, you know what? Go ahead without me. I can pass on this one today. You can miss me because, if anything, it would just add to the rage of the Badgers losing. So we did not need that. But I'm much better now, and I'm well rested, ready to get this one underway.
We were surprised that you missed the Badger one, but not the Packer one, because you came back for the Packers after their loss, and you were down in the dumps and everything like that. So I was surprised. We were surprised.
Well, you look at the Badgers, and they should have beat Michigan for one by a lot, and Rutgers, and they didn't. At least the Packers, they were like expected to lose against the 49ers. So you look at it like that, but yeah.
Fair enough. I'll go with that. So, Rogan, we're back. It's Tuesday. How we doing? How is Madtown on this Tuesday?
Trage, I don't know what to say right now. I'm defeated. It's going to be one of those days, boys. Taylor Swift is a Super Bowl champ. She is a Super Bowl champ, and I don't know. Do you know what Pat Mahomes reminds me of? Do you know that scene with Thanos in the Avengers movie where he just like snaps his fingers and says, "I am inevitable"? That's Mahomes. That's Super Bowl champ yet again. You want another one?
That's a bad snap.
I don't know what to say anymore.
But in the movie, you got to remember, at some point, somebody comes along and says, "I am Iron Man," and snaps his fingers and brings it all back. So who's going to be that guy? Maybe it's Jordan Love who says, "I am Jordan Love." Bam, snaps his fingers. We're back.
Does this make Jordan Love Super Bowl champ now because he beat the Kansas City Chiefs?
Technically, in the grand scheme of things, I'll give you that one.
I like how all the Swifties have been Chiefs fans for less than 3 months and have already enjoyed a Super Bowl more than some of us who've been fans for how long.
It's a disease, Austin. It's a disease.
Hey, imagine being a Lions fan. You've stuck with the Lions for years, and now you get to watch this. I heard that there was I was listening to the Dan Patrick show, and he said they were coming back and they were in the airport, and there was 16 people wearing Lions gear and everything like that. They can only imagine that they bought those tickets at halftime when they were playing the 49ers, and then just the depression after that. You got to use the ticket. You got to go. But it's wow. That is bad. I mean, imagine if you were a Packer fan, you would have bought some tickets there and against the 49ers, yeah, we're going. And then all of a sudden, this is what we get. So
16 times, Strange. She was on screen 16 times. Smash the over.
Did you count or what? It was in the bet, wasn't it?
That's why I heard it was 16, which is
her total time, though. Her
15
total time
too many times.
Her total time on screen was the least of the entire year, though.
This is true. This is very true. And if you I watched the Nickelodeon version for a little bit. I had to check it out on Nickelodeon. I had to see what's going on.
Of course you did.
They showed Taylor Swift more on the Nickelodeon than they did on the national broadcast. I'm every 5 minutes on that Nickelodeon broadcast was bam, there's Taylor Swift. Bam, there's Taylor Swift. I was oh, this is the Taylor Swift channel now.
Trage, now that you brought up Nickelodeon, I do got to give a shout out to my dad. He texted me last night that he was watching the game, and with 6 minutes to go, the TV on, CBS?
Yep.
Stopped working. So my dad had to watch the last 6.5 minutes on the Nickelodeon channel.
Oh,
he said it was the hardest thing he's ever had to do in his entire life.
Loved it because you got the two announcers on there. I can't remember who the two guys were announcing, but then they had SpongeBob and Patrick in the background, and those two were talking too. And I was what is going on? I mean, I watched for a couple minutes. I just had to, you got to see it. You have to just tune in and see what it's like. And I was what am I watching right now? Though I was hoping, I don't think they did it, but the halftime show they talked about a couple years ago, the SpongeBob halftime show, I was excited. That was my childhood. I was maybe I'm going to see it for the first time on national. No, it wasn't on there yet. So still waiting on the Super Bowl halftime show.
I think they played it before.
I think so. And then a couple years ago, I think they like toyed with it, but they never actually played it. So, but yeah, so Nickelodeon, I bet you they had a decent crowd for it though, because it wasn't like it was terrible. I will give them that. It wasn't like it was terrible, but definitely not as good as listening to Tony Romo tell Jim Nantz what's going to happen next. Oh, Jim, they're going to load the box. They're going to load the box.
Here's a guy. Now here's a guy.
They're coming.
Here.
They're coming. They're coming, Jim. They're coming. Jim, they're coming. They're going to bring somebody.
Subpar commercials this year, to be honest.
Oh, my.
The Temu commercial, don't know what was going on with that one, but I saw it 4 times. I'm like, I don't know how this has this much money for 30-second commercials, because each one was $7 million for a 30-second commercial, and they had about like 4 or 5 of them.
Did you guys see the Kanye commercial?
Yes. Yep.
Where he literally, his commercial is him taking a video of himself in his car with his phone, and it starts off, sorry, didn't have any money for the actual commercial, spent it all getting the time slot. That was a horrible, low-quality video.
I love it, though. It takes a shot at him because it's just ridiculous, the number. I was looking at the list of how much it's cost like over the years and how much it's jumped. It's just baffling how much it costs now. I know it's marketing and everything like that. There's not much you can do, but how many small businesses can afford to even put a commercial, even think about putting a commercial for the Super Bowl now? Just ridiculous. And looking at the ticket prices for this, they have to do something. I know it's marketing and everything like that, and there's only so much you can do, but the cheapest ticket was $8,300 for the cheapest ticket, and the most expensive one was like $2 million to buy a suite. Are you kidding? For $8,000, I want to be sitting with Taylor Swift. That's what I want for $8,000. Your average fan can't afford to pay prices like that. I know there's not much you can do because that's just the way the market's going, but you look at the economy this is getting an economics talk, but you look at the economy right now, how can people justify $8,000 to be able to go watch a Super Bowl when, you can sit at home and watch it for whatever your DirecTV bill is a month. You can sit there and watch it for that. I think it's ridiculous. I don't know how they could do it. I don't know how they could fix it, just simply because it's a money game and it's marketing and everything like that. Ticket prices are going to be what they're going to be, but they got to do something because diehard fans can't even go to the games. I was listening to a lot of people, and they said they could afford to go to Las Vegas, and they were outside the stadium, and they enjoyed the Super Bowl festivities, but they couldn't actually go into the game because they couldn't afford to sit in they couldn't afford tickets. Just for the nosebleed seats, that's the $8,000. That's nosebleed. You can't even see the field, and they're charging you $8,000 for that. That's just nuts. I thought it was nuts.
I don't think we saw a Doritos commercial or a Budweiser commercial either. A little disappointed on the Puppy Monkey Baby commercial there a couple of years back. I think that one's a classic. But we missed out on some good commercials. And, yeah, I like what you were saying with the pricing. It's kind of bogus. I saw Tommy Pham was there for the first half, a baseball player. He was there for the first half and then just left. And he's like, I'll just watch the rest of the game at home here on TV because it's better.
Those are the only fans that can afford it, are the guys that have a ton of money and you get all the way to the point, and it's all the diehard fans that are going to the games, and then it's just the rich people that don't even probably pay attention to most of the season that are the ones who get the Super Bowl, and that's that seems wrong to me. You should be. I feel like the environment would be so much better if you got the guys that go to every game on Sundays. There's a lot of Packer fans that are there every Sunday, no matter what. The diehard fans of that. And that's what I feel like the Super Bowl is missing sometimes. The crowd just seems dead because it's just a bunch of rich people that just like going to the Super Bowl.
No, exactly. Can you imagine the Lions fans, if the Lions would have made the Super Bowl, can you imagine most of those Lions fans getting into a Super Bowl game, the atmosphere? It would be nuts. It would be pandemonium inside of that stadium. So, they got to do something with that. Super Bowl commercials, I miss Taco Bell. I was looking for a Taco Bell commercial, one of those commercials where it looks like it's the ad for a horror movie, and then all of a sudden at the end, they just say Taco Bell. I have seen so many of those. That's what I was hoping for, one of those kind of deal. Nothing for them. Cheetos, I was really hoping for a Cheetos commercial. Nothing for Cheetos. Budweiser, though, I thought it was a good commercial. Budweiser got in there. Good commercial.
Did get it, okay. I must have skipped over.
Judge Judy, she was in there as Judge Beauty. She got in there for a commercial. I thought that was fantastic. Yeah, if you didn't see it, Judge Beauty, she was called on there. It was some like
Who watch
elf.
that show anyways these days?
What'd you boys think of the halftime show?
Halftime show.
Subpar.
I didn't think it was good until the very end.
I thought
The last song that I knew. Yeah.
I'll give them the dancing. I thought the singing was bad. The choreography, I think that's the word for the dancing. Pretty big word there for myself. I thought that was A-okay. I thought Little John, Ludacris, and who was the other one? Alicia Keys. I thought they saved the entire thing. I got to be honest. Because I thought Ludacris sounded good. I thought Little John sounded fantastic. And I thought Alicia Keys was pretty good. I don't know. Usher, to me, a lot of it was subpar. Not what I expected. I thought if it was just a dance competition, he won it. He did a fantastic job with the dancing and everything. Yeah, he was. I mean, you could see him up there just like wiping the sweat out of his eyes, and he was keeping his eyes closed. He couldn't even open them. I was like, oh, man. I mean, it wasn't the worst. I mean, I watched the Black Eyed Peas. I mean, basically just Fergie. I watched that, so it wasn't the worst one I've seen. I wasn't a fan of Rihanna's last year. I'll be honest with you. I wasn't a fan of Rihanna's. So I put it above that one. J-Lo and Shakira have the top for me right now. Those two have the top for me. And then from there, it goes downhill.
I loved when Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre and them guys were on a couple years ago.
That was a good one.
I thought that was pretty cool. Especially being in Los Angeles, too.
That was, I listened to a lot of people talking about it, and they said, do you almost have to get a Super Bowl for the city that you're in? Like New Orleans. Do you almost have to get something New Orleans-like for there? And then if you put like a Super Bowl in the Midwest or something, put a country singer at half. You know what? I get it. It's going to be slower if you put some country singers on there. But I think you could get away with it because I think a lot of people, like Chris Stapleton, great performer. I would take him at halftime. You throw a bunch of different country artists like they did with Snoop Dogg, Dr. J, all them, everybody in there. I think if you put like a bunch of country singers together for a halftime performance, I'd be fine with it. I would
Morgan Wallen and Post Malone collab.
Post Malone is going country. That's all I've heard. That's all I've heard. Post is going country.
Yeah. All I got to say, would anybody be opposed to a little AC/DC concert at the halftime of a Super Bowl? They're still performing.
That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome.
I don't know if they can sing anymore. Cool. They're performing, but can they sing is the question. Do they have the vocal cords for a Super Bowl?
I don't.
Can't be any worse than Usher, but
give me Metallica.
That'd be crazy.
Metallica, that'd be pretty good. Come on, that'd be good. Who was the one I went and watched? Was it Def Leppard was there? I can't remember the other ones that were there. There's some good. I mean, you could put a collaboration of a lot of these old rock bands together and put them out there for a halftime show. That would be a good one for New Orleans. Unless if they're going to go jazz. When I think New Orleans, I think of smooth jazz.
Little bluegrass
I can see
in there.
Smooth jazz kind of thing going on. Yeah, a little bluegrass. I can see it. So, anyways, getting off of that, getting off of the atmosphere for the Super Bowl, let's get into the Super Bowl. So, we saw the Kansas City Chiefs win it in walk-off fashion there against the 49ers. I mean, I thought it was a great game. I honestly thought it was a great game all the way around. Offense was a premium. The offenses weren't really showing there, and defense took over. And late in that one, I mean, how do you not block Chris Jones coming through the middle there to disrupt that pass from Brock Purdy? The one guy on Kansas City's defense is Chris Jones that you got to watch out for there. And he got through somehow unblocked. I mean, phenomenal play by Chris Jones, but definitely something that I looked at there. Also, the play of Leo Chanel in that game, former Badger. I thought Leo Chanel played well. And he's got 2 Super Bowls with the Chiefs. That's great to see out of a former Badger there. Other than that, I mean, I thought it was a good game. I did not take anything against this game. I thought it was a good game all the way around. Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. They gave him too much time at the end. They gave him time in overtime to be able, and the chance. And I thought it was bogus listening to the 49ers players after the game say that they didn't understand the overtime rules in the playoffs. That's on coaching then at that point, because he explained, the head referee explained the overtime rules when they were doing the coin flip. And Fred Warner and Patrick Mahomes both said that they understood the rules and everything like that, and they said, let's play. So, I mean, for guys to come out now and say, oh, we didn't know that they still had a chance to have the ball and everything like that, that's bullcrap. You had to know that. Kyle Shanahan had to have told Fred Warner when he walked out there, this is the game plan for that coin toss. So I don't know. I want to hear what you guys thought of that after the game. Some of those players coming out there and saying that they didn't understand the rules. I mean, you've had how many weeks of playoff football now? Somebody has had to tell you this is the rules of the playoffs when you get into overtime.
Yeah, and I saw a lot of, like you were saying, Juszczyk, and I think there was another guy out there, but then Justin Reed, Kansas City defensive back, said that they would basically go over that scenario every day in the playoff or every single practice in the playoffs or just mention it in meetings. So they kind of knew what was going on. But like you said, it seemed like the 49ers players didn't know what was going on there. And really the only thing that happened or that it affected was who got the ball first. I think if they knew the scenario, they should have let the Chiefs get the ball first, go on defense first for the 49ers, and then they'd still have a chance there. But since they didn't, they ended up kicking a field goal. And then obviously, no matter what, even if it was normal overtime rules before the playoffs, then Kansas City would have had a chance anyways because they only kicked a field goal there, went all the way down, scored a touchdown. Apparently, Mecole Hardman for the Kansas City Chiefs didn't even think that he won the game with that touchdown reception there until Patrick Mahomes started running up to him saying that they won or whatever, which I think is funny. That's a guy who was on the Jets. I think it was in November. He was on the Jets, got traded for because I guess the Jets didn't really want him or something. Not entirely sure, but he had not only the touchdown catch that was pretty big, but he also had another really big catch there before. But then Pacheco fumbled the ball. I don't know. The first half of the game was all right. It was almost putting me to sleep. I'm not going to lie. The first half of the game, it was pretty not boring because every play matters in the Super Bowl, but it's like I feel like I just expected maybe a little bit more from this game. But second half was a Super Bowl game right there. I thought that was a great second half. Shouldn't have bet against Patrick Mahomes. I took the 49ers in this one. And they were winning for most of the game here. Patrick Mahomes was down by 10. This is like the third time in a row in the Super Bowl that he's been down by 10 points, that he's came back and won at least 10 points or more and came back and won this one, which is mind-boggling. But yeah, I thought it was a really good game overall. Wish the 49ers honestly would have pulled it out there just because the Packers lost the 49ers. It would have made the Packers look a little bit better. But, I mean, the Packers beat the Chiefs, like I was saying earlier. So we're basically the Super Bowl champs, and it's a great day to be a Packer fan, you know?
I like the overtime rules. I got to be honest with you. I like the overtime rules. I like that both teams get a shot in, playoff implications on the line there. Because how bad would it have been if the 49ers would have walked down the field? I get it, but if the 49ers would have walked down the field, scored a touchdown there in overtime, it's over there in the Super Bowl. The Chiefs, Kansas City doesn't even get a shot with the football. I like the new rule. I don't know if they should implement it in the regular season, but I like the rule in the playoffs, giving both teams a shot, though. But Rogan, I mean, what did you think? What do you think of the players not understanding the situation that was going, that was going on, and also, I mean, the outcome of the game there?
Yeah, like Austin was saying, I think that's kind of crazy. Like, this rule got put into place after that Bills-Chiefs game. That's 2 years ago now. And you're telling me that your coaches over the past 2 seasons have never said one thing about this new playoff rule? And to kind of defend the coaching staff, like, that's something that I think would be so obvious. They'd be like, we don't really need to conference our players every week on the overtime rules. And like Austin was saying there, I kind of would have liked the 49ers to maybe take the ball and kick the ball to Mahomes just so they know what they have to do on offense, getting the ball back. But I think Shanahan was also just a little worried about maybe the pressure that would put on Purdy, having the ball either down by 3 or down by a touchdown, knowing that he has to score or the game's over. I think maybe he wanted Purdy to kind of have the ball first with no obviously there's still pressure. It's the Super Bowl, but there's no added pressure that if you don't get 3 or you don't get 7, the game's over. But yeah, and then the only confusing part for me kind of at the end was when the Chiefs had the ball at the 2-yard line with a minute and a half to go, and they ran the clock all the way down to 0. But I did look into that, and on the initial possession, the clock does not matter at all. So that quarter could have ran out, and they would have just put another 15 minutes on. It's after the initial possession that once the clock runs out, whatever the score is in overtime is the final score. So that way both teams are guaranteed a possession, because theoretically the team that gets the ball first could go on a 15-minute drive, score as time expires. But according to the rules, each team gets a possession. So that's kind of their way around it. But you could see the 49ers players had no idea what was going on. Like, why are the Chiefs running the clock down? Why are they running the clock down? But, yeah, that to me is just excuses or whatever. And you kind of saw that from the 49ers all week. They were making a big deal about the hotel alarm. They were making a big deal about how soft the field was. Like, and you never heard a thing from the Chiefs. So, and, yeah, you can't beat Mahomes. The guy's unbelievable.
What I thought was crazy is how calm, cool, and collected he was the whole drive. Like they said, I can't remember who said it, but Mahomes walked out there and just told them, let's go win this game. That's all he said. And then they went on the drive to win the Super Bowl. I mean, that's just ridiculous. I mean, he doesn't feel the pressure. That's the crazy part, is like this guy doesn't feel the pressure of the game is even in his, like, he went down, what, Austin, you said like 10 in this game? I can't remember fully how much he went down, but it was like 10, and they never missed a beat. The way the Chiefs offense was moving for a majority of this game, you would have thought, I mean, Chiefs fans are probably sitting there like, oh my, this is bad. This is going to be bad. Like, we can't move the football. The 49ers walked down the field a couple times on this Chiefs team. And, I mean, blocked extra point. That was big too. That blocked extra point there was huge for the Chiefs. And luckily for the Chiefs there, I mean, it didn't, for the 49ers, they were able to get into overtime, but definitely, wow. I mean, it was a great game. All the way around, fantastic game. What did you guys think? Travis Kelce got into it with Andy Reid on the sideline there early on in this one. Got a little heated, pushed him a little bit. I thought, when I look at Andy Reid and I look at his relationship with Travis Kelce and Mahomes and these guys, they see him as the head coach of the football team, but they also see him as like, hey, I can talk to this guy. I can talk to him and be like, hey, this is what needs to happen. Travis Kelce wasn't getting a lot of targets early on. He knew that he needed targets, and he wasn't out there for a big play. I think it was the one where Pacheco fumbled the football. I think it was that play that Travis Kelce wasn't out there for. And I mean, I didn't, a lot of people look at it as a bad thing. I didn't see it completely as a bad thing. I don't know what was said. Travis Kelce wouldn't even say what was said between him and Andy Reid. Andy Reid didn't say anything. They just said it was a discussion between the two. No hard feelings between the two guys. So, I mean, nothing really bad in that situation. I kind of like it. I like the fire of Travis Kelce, one of your stars, coming up to the head coach and basically saying, hey, like, I need to be out there. I need to get football here. And that's what what I got out of there, what he told Andy Reid. So I wanted to hear what you guys thought of that situation with Travis Kelce and Andy Reid.
I was listening to Pat McAfee show, and he kind of said that anyone who's really mad about or like criticizing Travis Kelce about that, or saying Travis Kelce's a crybaby, blah, 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 you shouldn't do that to your coach, is pretty much the people that don't like Travis Kelce, which I think is kind of realistic, because he gets a lot of hate because of how good of a player he is. Same with the Kansas City Chiefs in general. They'll just get a lot of hate. They are the new New England Patriots team that was getting a lot of hate just because they were just so good. That's them now. I mean, they're a dynasty. They've been to the 4 of the last 5 Super Bowls and won 3 of them. It's just crazy. And a lot of these players are coming back. Andy Reid said he's going to be back as a coach. Patrick Mahomes obviously back because he signed a fat contract how long ago. That's still relevant. And Travis Kelce is going to be back. So pretty much their whole team's going to be back. Might lose a couple guys in free agency, but that we won't even know about. But besides the point, honestly, it's just football. I think it helped that they won the game at the end there, so they could kind of just laugh about it now. But yeah, it was at a critical time that you'd think that Travis Kelce would be out there. I mean, it's inside the 20, it's inside the red zone here, and Travis Kelce isn't out there. I'm kind of surprised in that. And then insult to injury is Pacheco fumbled, like you said. So that definitely did not help there for that case. And it's just a man that's passionate. I think both of them are pretty passionate about the game. I wouldn't do that to my coach, but also I don't have a whole lot of authority on the team. It seems like they have a strong bond. I mean, Travis Kelce's been with Kansas City his whole career, and same with Andy Reid's been there. Travis Kelce's entire time there. So like they obviously have a strong connection, and everything. So for the people that are complaining, like, oh, why is this player doing this? You shouldn't do this to your coach. It's just pretty much the people that don't really like Travis Kelce. I think it's just a guy that heat of the moment type of thing. I feel like there's a lot of times we don't see a lot of that type of stuff, but this time it happened to be on camera because it's Super Bowl and there's cameras at every single angle and every single point of the stadium. So that's kind of my take about it.
Yeah, I agree with Austin. I don't think it's that bad at all. I mean, I think those are one of those things where Reid probably in the locker room maybe says something to the team, or maybe publicly might punish Kelce for something, just because you can't have the team like seeing that and thinking it's okay. But then right after calls Kelce into his office and says like that's the type of stuff I love. Like that's just, if you're a coach, you want your players to be that invested and that amped up for a game like that. So I don't see any problem with it. And like Austin was saying, let's be honest here. If that was like Kadarius Toney, he'd be benched. But it's Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce and Andy Reid are as close as you can get between a player and a coach. And I also think it was a lot worse. I think it looked a lot worse than it actually was. Even Andy Reid admitted after the game, like he was half off balance, so it looked like he shoved him. And he's like, it wasn't that bad. But yeah, like Austin says, I think there might be something you hear. Maybe Reid says something to the team about it, or maybe punishes him somehow. But in the locker room, he calls Kelce over and says he loves that sort of stuff. So I don't see a problem with it.
No, definitely
Andy Reid getting a little bit old there, getting tipped over. Too many cheeseburgers on the right side of his body.
Give me them nuggies.
Andy Reid was focused on cheeseburgers. He wasn't thinking about a guy coming over to him. That's all. I mean, I wonder how many
after the game, actually.
Did he? I was going to ask. I wonder how many cheeseburgers he had after the game there. So definitely one for sure, but I guarantee you he's had a couple today already. Recouping from that Super Bowl win there. Chiefs win the Super Bowl. That's a wrap-up for the NFL season there in 2020. Well, technically 2024. I don't know what you call it, 2024, 2023. Mix of the two.
Only 208 more days till football season, baby. Come on. We got them down.
Oh, yeah, and we're going to cover it the entire way. Packers, hoping they're going to have a good draft here coming up. We're going to get into that as it gets closer. But with that, I want to talk about a couple of our sponsors here. Your hometown team, Century 21 Gold Key Realty. Call Peggy, Sue, or Anna to find your dream home, or if you're looking to sell, find them on Facebook at your hometown team, Century 21 Gold Key Realty, or stop in and see them at their location in Marshfield. Also, another one of our sponsors, Pittsville Farm and Home Center. At the store, they serve you anything from hydraulic hoses to red roses. Stop in and see the awesome crew at Pittsville Farm and Home Center in Pittsville. I want to get to our Wisconsin sports question of the day now. Jumping back into Wisconsin sports here. So what do we got for Wisconsin sports question today? Rogan, what do you got for me?
I think my question today is, who do you guys want to see the Packers select in the first round? And would you be against possibly trading down?
Interesting. I mean, I can see them taking Kool-Aid McKinstry, or specifically probably a tight end, or not tight end, but tackle. That's kind of like the two people that we've kind of been talking about. Not a specific tackle, because I've seen tackles range from the BYU guy to a Georgia guy. I don't know their specific names, but that's what I've kind of seen on draft stuff. So probably that. But Kool-Aid McKinstry, I've also heard his name in the rumblings. I would not be surprised if they do kind of fall back a little bit, because there's a lot of good players in this draft that I feel like the Packers could get no matter what. And we also have a lot of picks too. I heard we could possibly even trade up because of the amount of picks that we have too. So I don't know. I don't really know what the Packers are going to do with that, but it'll be interesting to see what they do.
Yeah, Gutekunst did say that they had a lot of picks this year, and he said what that does is allow us to possibly trade up, and that's all he said. So
trade up for Caleb Williams, baby. Come on.
You're the biggest Jordan Love guy in the world, and you're the one telling me to trade up for Caleb Williams?
Satire.
That's not a joke.
Satire, guys. Come on.
I don't believe you anymore.
You're not a real Packer fan.
Get
Whatever.
out of here. I'm on the Jordan Love bandwagon now.
Shut up. You are not. You are the last person to be talking about Jordan Love bandwagon. I've been on him since day freaking one, and you were like, I don't know, Austin. He's kind of dog shit.
I'm the bandwagon now. Now we have to go explicit.
You are the bandwagon. You are the wagon now, George.
I jumped on. Yeah, I jumped off when the wagon wheel fell off, and then somebody put the tire back on, and then I jumped back on.
You are such a fake fan. You're a fake fan, George.
Wow, that's rough. Okay, back to the question that Rogan asked. I would love, if they traded up, I would love to see a guy like Dallas Turner, an edge rusher there out of Alabama. I think he'd be a great pickup for the Packers there. They're trying to retool that defense. I think you have to look at the back half of the defense there, majority of this draft. But I think an edge rusher like Dallas Turner, I think would allow you to get, Preston Smith, don't know where he's going to fit in anymore. A guy like Devondre Campbell, don't know where he's going to fit in. I would like Dallas Turner. Another guy, Olu Fashanu, he's an offensive tackle out of Penn State. Would love to see him there. The Packers could go multiple ways in the first round. It could be an offensive tackle. It could also be on the defensive side. I don't think they should touch anybody else in that first round, whether it's a skill position on the offense, at wide receiver, running back. I don't think they should touch that direction. I think they can wait in the draft to find a guy like that. I'm looking more towards tackle. Maybe some guys for the ends there on the defense. And then also, I wouldn't be opposed to, like I said, linebacker. I think you could use an athletic linebacker in there. So find a guy there athletically to get you in that linebacker position, but also back into the defense. Cooley McKinstry I would not bat an eye if they did go after a guy like McKinstry there. But other than that, I'm looking tackle and then somewhere in the defense. You could pick a spot on the defense right now, and if you can trade up and find the right guy, I think you could improve. So I'd definitely be looking offensive tackle or on the defense there for a guy to upgrade.
Yeah, and I like Cooley McKinstry too because he can also play safety but also slot. So he can do pretty much both. He's really versatile. But I've been wrong about a lot of picks that the Packers might have made. Also because the Packers, I thought, would always draft a wide receiver in the first round. But I feel like this is the first time I believe to myself that they're not going to do it, which is kind of surprising.
It wouldn't surprise me if they did this year. They always draft.
Yeah, this is the year actually that they do draft a wide receiver in the first round.
We're going to trade up to get Marvin Harrison.
I think the only way the Packers trade up is if like one of those big three at the tackle fall outside of like the top 10, like between Joe Alt from Notre Dame,
Yep.
that kid from Penn State, that Fashanu.
Yep.
And then there's that guy from Oregon State. Is that Fashanu? It's like those two are really close last names.
Yeah, there's two guys from Penn State who are big names there.
Yeah, I think if one of those top three tackles fall out of the top 10, I think I could see him trading up for one of them, or I think they stay put and I think they go cornerback, to be honest.
I've been looking at the mock.
You got Cooper DeJean, too. No one even said anything about him.
Yeah, I've been looking at a lot of the mock drafts. There is a lot of offensive tackles that they're expecting to go in the first round. There's a lot of good there's two from Penn State, so a lot of great offensive tackles right now. So jumping to Austin here. Austin, what do you got? Wisconsin sports question of the day.
Now, I don't know if you guys talked about this yesterday. You might have, but the Badgers are now ranked number 20, which honestly I'm not surprised. But how bad do you think those two losses to Michigan and Rutgers hurt their stock in the NCAA tournament when it comes around? What do you guys think now their seed is going to be? I think this partially is due to my fault because I said they're looking at a 6 to 7, but a lot of it was looking at a 3. But I don't know. Now it might be looking at a 6 to 7 the way that this past few week has gone.
I was honestly surprised that they remained at 20. I got to be honest. I would not have been surprised when I got the notification of the updated top 25 that they dropped out. They haven't won a game in 2 weeks. If you really think about it, they haven't won a game in 2 weeks. That's a long time. And I would not have been surprised if they came into this as they were on the outside looking in at the top 25. I thought 20 was generous, and I think it's a lot of those early season wins, the one against Marquette, and then they had the win at East Lansing against Michigan State. I think, and what was the other one they had? Another ranked matchup that they won early on there. Can't remember it now.
They
But
beat
they've had a
Virginia
lot of,
when they were ranked number 24, so that might be helpful too.
that Virginia wins help. I think there was a lot of wins early on that are helping them, but I think they're down in the 5-6 range right now, and they have a hungry Ohio State. We're going to talk about that coming up here. They have a game against Ohio State coming up. If you lose that one, you're down probably on the 8 line. You're 7-8 line then. I got to be honest, because you look at some of these losses that they're taking right now, they are to some subpar teams that are on the tournament bubble if they're lucky. I mean, you look at a team like Michigan, they're not even in the tournament. You look at a team like Rutgers, if they're on the tournament bubble, they're lucky to be on it. And Nebraska, if you get them at home, they're great. If you get them on the road, they're not. So, I mean, I don't know. To me, right now, seed-wise, I'm 5-6. I'm probably leaning towards the 6 range right now, just where they're at. But you can't afford many more losses to stay even in relevancy into the tournament there, barring that you put a run on in the Big Ten tournament. So I'm looking 5-6 right now for this Badger team.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you just kind of look at their ranking, they're at 20, and then you think there's like 4 regions there. So, I mean, it kind of works out to be that 5, 6, 7 range, which, yeah, Austin, I think this is your fault. I mean, you said it last week, and now look where we're at. I mean, I don't want to do this to you. I don't want to put you on the spot like this, but some things got to be said.
Yeah, you'll have that sometimes, honestly. But also, why are you losing to Rutgers by 22 points and losing to Michigan? I will not take credit for that. 100% not taking credit for that.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, I did say that Jordan Love should be out of Green Bay, and he did turn it around. So, I mean, Austin could tell us right now that the Badgers should just get rid of everybody, and they might turn it around and win the national championship. I don't know.
The Badgers are going to win the Big Ten tournament.
No.
That's the opposite. You just went the opposite.
Lose.
You just went the opposite.
The Badgers are going to lose the Big Ten tournament.
That's a start. That's a start. I'll give him. He's getting. Anyways, let's move on. I got my Wisconsin sports question of the day. So, looking at the Bucks, I'm going to jump more towards the Bucks standpoint right now, and they've had a lot of change here. Doc Rivers coming in now. They got Pat Bev. What would be a failure to you for the Bucks this season? You know, at the end of the year, they lose whatever final game it is, or they win the final game, whatever it is. What would you chalk up as a failure? Like the Bucks completely let you down. To me, it's if they make the playoffs, another first round exit. That would be a failure to me because this roster is built to win. It's built to win in the postseason. So a first round exit again to a lower seed would definitely be a failure to me. I think you got to make it to the second round. I really do think you got to. I know they're going through a lot of turmoil, controversy, everything like that. Injuries are barring up, but I got to see something out of the Bucks there if they get into the playoffs. So I was just wondering, what do you guys think would be a failure to you for the Bucks here?
I think it's got to be conference championship or bust, to be honest. I mean, you lose in the first round last year, and obviously you just went up against a Miami Heat team that did end up making the finals, so that does make that loss a little better. It wasn't like they lost next round. They did make it to the finals. But, I mean, you make a massive deal for Damian Lillard, and before the season started, I'd say the expectations were championship or bust. And I think now you just see how good the Celtics are this year. And you cannot reasonably say that the Bucks are a better team than the Celtics. Could they beat them in a 7-game series? Yes, possibly. But I think everyone admits that the Celtics are probably just a better team than the Bucks at this point. And the Bucks have just not been that great this year. But you still did make a trade for Damian Lillard. And you have Giannis, who has said publicly many times that if he's not competing for championships, he's going to leave. So honestly, I think the normal expectation is championship or bust. But I think this year, you have to realize that this is probably a long shot to win it this year, but I think it's still conference. You can't make only a first or second round playoff series after trading for Damian Lillard, in my opinion.
I'm going to go, since Trades win first round, Rogan win championship, I'm going to go right in the middle, split the difference, and make everyone happy here. At least get past the first round, because you're probably going to play some Unless you play the Pacers, then we're probably screwed. If we play the Pacers first round, we ain't winning the 7-game series.
That would be bad. That'd be bad.
But second round, I can see them realistically getting there. Championship, I can see them getting there too, but you run into the Celtics like Rogan was saying, and it's going to be tough. Somehow we beat them by 40 the last time we played them. Don't know how, but that was also under a different head coach there. So now a lot of things have kind of switched now, and it'll be interesting to see. Hopefully win a championship, though. That'd be great.
I just think at some point the Bucks are going to get, like, they're getting old. You look at Middleton, you look at Brook. They're going to get to the point where they're going to say, yeah, we got Giannis, we got Dame, but are we putting the right cast of characters around those two to center in on a championship? You look at the Celtics, young, they have the ability to go out and add pieces. You look at Porzingis. The addition of Porzingis, then they got Drew Holiday on. I think that was just to spite the Bucks, was to get Drew Holiday there. But I mean, you got Drew Holiday, Porzingis, you have Jaylen Brown and Tatum, and you also have guys coming off the bench like Al Horford yet. I mean, Al Horford's not fantastic, but you have experience like that coming off the bench. They are just well tooled all the way around from starting five through the bench. That's the big thing. I look at the difference between the Bucks and the Celtics is that the Bucks can't go deep on the bench and find guys. But if you look at the Celtics, they can go deep. So that's where I kind of lean with it is, you know, the Bucks have to come to the realization pretty soon here that we might have to get young to go after a championship here, because right now we're aging and these contracts that we're paying guys not really working out for us. So definitely some good stuff there. Wisconsin Sports Question. Bucks are in action. They're going to be taking on the Heat coming up tonight here. Should be a good game there. Bucks, Heat. I mean, this is a team that's had the Bucks number over the past couple of years, so hopefully Bucks can pull off a win here against the Heat. Austin, any guys we're looking out for in that game, Bucks Heat?
Tyler Hero had a pretty big game his last outing. This time he's averaging 21 points per game. Bam Adebayo, 20.3 points per game, also has 10.6 rebounds. Jimmy Butler's out for this one, I believe. He said he's out on the ESPN, so I'm going to guess he's not going to be playing, which is kind of a hurt for Miami here. He averages 21.4 points, 4.6 assists, 1.3 steals per game. So leads them in three categories there for the Heat. They also have Duncan Robinson, who used to be a really good three-point shooter. He still is, but averaging 13 points for them. Jaime Jaquez Jr. is a really good player out of UCLA there, and he's averaging 12.9 points per game. Terry Rozier they had, but he's out. Looks like he's only played 10 games, so kind of a killer for them. Or I think he got traded too, possibly. I'm not entirely sure what happened to Terry Rozier. But besides that, not a whole lot going on with this Miami Heat team. Look at their schedule here real quick. They recently lost to Boston only by 4, where Tyler Hero had 24 points. So Tyler Hero kind of not carrying the team while Jimmy Butler's out, but doing a lot to do the best he can with them there. It'll be interesting to see how they're able to play. Luckily, this one's at the Pfizer. I think that helps. And the addition of – I feel like the addition of Patrick Beverley was huge. And not only because we were playing the Charlotte Hornets there. Charlotte Hornets is a bad team, especially with a lot of guys on their team out. But we beat them by almost 40 points. And you saw – I don't know if you guys talked about this, but you saw Pat Bev in the huddle – like trying to basically coach defense, especially to Brook Lopez. And it looked like Brook Lopez was not trying to have any of it, but he should listen to Pat Bev. Pat Bev is one of the best defensive players in the league. So I feel like that addition was huge for the Bucks, even though it may not seem like it at the time. And you look at the last time the Bucks added a really good defensive player, like halfway into the season, PJ Tucker. Look where that led us, into a championship run there. So this could be good for the Bucks right now, but definitely a lot better team that we're going to be playing against the Heat coming up tomorrow or tonight.
He basically took everything we talked about yesterday and said it word for word. He's good. He is good. This guy in Austin, he's good. He's coming back at us, telling us.
I know what I'm doing.
He knows what he's doing. So it should be a good game. Bucks and Heat coming up tonight here from the Pfizer. Should be a great matchup there. But with that, I want to get to our sponsors here. Your hometown team, Century 20. Oh, I already said that. Well, I already got to that sponsor. I'm sorry. Got to the wrong sponsor.
No double sponsor, Dredge. No double sponsor. They only get one time spot. This is the Super Bowl.
Yeah, this ain't the Super Bowl. This ain't Super Bowl. They don't pay us for these sponsorships. But anyways, Game Day Supply in Onalaska. Do you have a sports club or team? Are you looking for some sweet custom uniforms or apparel? Check out the awesome crew at Game Day Supply in Onalaska to get your team the sweetest gear. Find them on Facebook at Game Day Supply or online at GameDaySupply.net. And also Sport and Spine Clinic in Greenwood. Have you or one of your family members, friends, anything like that been injured lately? Do you need somebody to give you some great physical therapy, some great help getting yourself back and going? Check out Sport and Spine Clinic in Greenwood. They will get you right and back on your way. But with that, I got to get to Austin here. Austin, we didn't have one yesterday. We got to get to you today. Give us your fact of the day.
Yeah, my fact of the day, on this day in 1990, Larry Bird ends his NBA free throw streak of 71 games. I think that's him making at least one free throw in 71 games, I'd assume, which is quite the streak, honestly. That's 71 games. That's how many games do they even play in a full season? I'm not entirely sure. But, yeah, so he almost made a free throw at least every single game. But Larry Bird is quite the basketball player there.
It's Larry Legend, man. Larry Legend is the guy. I mean, that's just all I got to say. Larry Legend, Rogan, Larry Legend, right? That's the guy.
You guys all heard about that left-handed game, right?
I did, yes.
Said he was only going to score with his left hand and then went out and scored 45 with just his left hand in an NBA game.
Dude's a dog. I don't know what else to say. If Michael Jordan was never happening, Larry Legend would be the guy. But now it's MJ. But without him, it would be Larry Bird. That would be the face. That'd be the GOAT. He would be the GOAT. I mean, he might be already in the conversation. I don't know. Somebody might throw him into the GOAT conversation. So with that, we got to get.
He's the GOAT.
You think he's the GOAT?
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, Larry Legend has got to be the GOAT. We're going to throw him into our GOAT conversation for now.
His son, I think it's his son or
MJ and Larry.
His son or his grandson is like balling out in high school right now. Is in like one of the top recruits in like 2026. Supposedly going to be better than his grandfather. I don't know what he is, if it's a grandson or son, but he's going to be better than Larry Bird, I heard. So look out for him.
I've watched his highlight tape. I got to agree. He might
the young one.
He might be. Yeah, he might be better than Larry Bird. I don't know yet, but we'll wait and see. Should be interesting. But with that, I got to get going here into the top 25 for the NCAA. Men's was released yesterday. UConn, Purdue stayed on top. Houston coming in at 3. Marquette moved up to the 4 spot, followed by Arizona, Kansas, North Carolina, Tennessee, Duke, and Iowa State. South Carolina all the way up to 11 now, followed by Baylor, then Auburn, then Illinois, Alabama, Dayton, Creighton, St. Mary's. Can't say I've seen St. Mary's getting above Gonzaga too often. Then followed by BYU. The Badgers coming in at 20. Virginia at 21. Kentucky at 22. Indiana State, I told you guys they'd get into the rankings at some point. They're in there at 23. Florida Atlantic. I'm done with Florida Atlantic. I watched them in overtime the other day. I can't remember who they were playing. Somebody crappy again.
What was it, Wichita State?
Yeah,
Yep.
They went to overtime against Wichita State. They have been to overtime in the last – they actually lost an overtime game to UAB, but they went to overtime games in 2 straight games. I can't even – like, that's not great. I mean, you look at this – enough about FAU. Then Oklahoma comes in at the 25 spot. Other teams receiving votes, we had Utah State, Colorado State, Texas Tech, San Diego State, and from there on, I mean, Gonzaga did receive 50 votes now. They did beat Kentucky. Kentucky has now lost 3 straight home games. I thought that was interesting. They haven't done that since, I think it was like 1970 or something like that. It's been a long time since Kentucky has lost that many straight. So definitely interesting right there. I mean, I don't see anything crazy in the top 25. I thought it was the only one that was interesting to me was Wisconsin only dropping 9 spots. They are at 16-8 now on the season right now. I thought that was interesting. I did not expect 20. I was really prepared for out of the rankings. Other than that, I mean, I think top 25 looks fine. Anybody you guys see interesting there in the top 25? Anything like that?
Marquette is making a resurrection, I guess you could say. They're back at number 4 now. Haven't really done anything impressive except just for winning their games. Last time they lost was against Butler there, but they've recently beat Georgetown and St. John's. I mean, who they beat last time. So I guess they're just winning. Really, is what they're doing. They still have some pretty tough games though. Butler, who they recently lost to, is their last loss. Like I just said, and we might get into that later. And then they play UConn twice and Creighton again. So definitely a couple more tougher games, and Providence they play again. So Marquette ranked at number 4 right now, but definitely something to look at there if they're able to obtain that ranking.
Yeah, like you were saying, Trage, Indiana State at 23 now?
Yep.
And that was going to be my sports story of the day, but I'll change it up. But yeah, Indiana State, the first time they're in the top 25 since 1979.
Wowza.
So almost 45 years since they've been in the top 25, and they got 5 guys on the team averaging in double figures. So
isn't that where Larry Bird went to college, Indiana State? Well, would you look at that? Coming full circle.
So, yeah, I mean, top 25 is looking good to us right now. I mean, not really anything crazy going on at the moment. We'll see how it all shakes out here after this big week of college hoops. This is a big one that's going to affect it. We're going to talk about it right now. I don't know what else to say about this. So, Wisconsin, Ohio State coming up tonight here. Big one from the Kohl Center. Badgers, losers of 4 straight. They got to get back to winning ways here, especially on the home floor, taking on an Ohio State team that they beat already this year. They went to Columbus, and they won that game against Ohio State. You need this win if you are Wisconsin. I mean, I can't even, I've gone through games where I've said the Badgers need to win this game. They need to win this game. If they lose this game, I mean, for lack of better terms, all hell is going to break loose. We're already explicit, so I figured I could just say it. It's going to break loose here for the Badgers. Winners the last time they won that game 71-60 there at Columbus. You got to win this game by a good margin here against Ohio State. This is a team in Ohio State that's coming in hungry. I mean, looking at Ohio State right now, coming into this game, they're 14-10 overall. They need this win. Badgers need this win. This isn't going to be a rollover game. If you are Wisconsin, this is a good Ohio State, not a great Ohio State team, but they're good. I mean, they got scorers on that team. A couple of them there, Bruce Thornton, and then also, I always forget his name, Jamison Battle there, was from Minnesota. Now he's with Ohio State. Another great guard there for Ohio State. So definitely a good game. Austin, who we seeing right now, Ohio State-wise, guys that have been performing well as of late for this Buckeye team?
Yeah, looking at the Ohio State team here, Bruce Thornton averaging 15.8 points per game, 4.2 assists per game, and 1.3 steals per game. Leads the team in all 3 categories there for them. Roddy Gale Jr. adds 14.3 points per game. Felix Okpara has 6.8 rebounds and 2.4 blocks. He's listed as a true center there. So we've seen the struggle from Crowell, and we could possibly continue to see that. But definitely a pretty good defensive team here. Jamison Battle, last time the Badgers played against Ohio State, Jamison Battle had quite the game, even though the Ohio State Buckeyes ended up losing to the Badgers. But Jamison Battle, transfer from Minnesota, he averages 14.2 points per game and has a 43.2 three-point percentage there for him. So a really good three-pointer shooter there from them. Zed Key adds 7.5 points per game to them. But overall, this team, like you were saying, Trage, very hungry. You look at their schedule, and they were on their own losing streak for a little bit. They lost 5 in a row until they beat Maryland in 2 overtimes, 79-75 on Saturday. So definitely this team that was not doing so hot, but now they won a game here. It could spark something against the Wisconsin Badgers. This game is on Peacock, by the way, so I will not be watching it, which is stupid. I think the Badgers have like 3 games on Peacock in their last 6 games or something, which I think is stupid. But definitely going to be a really good game here at Wisconsin, home game. So that's kind of big, kind of need that too. We've been on the road this past 2 games here, so definitely going to need the home fans to show up and cheer out, Rogan.
Yeah, for sure. It's a big game. Like Trey's just saying, if they lose this one, it's like, I mean, I could see this. I mean, we're at the verge of this season imploding right now, and a loss to Ohio State at home, I think would really. I think if they lose tomorrow, I don't know if they're going to make the tournament. I'm just being honest.
Yep.
Because you got another game against Illinois, it's going to be tough. You got a game at Purdue, last game of the season. And am I wrong? But I thought they had to play Illinois twice yet. Or just once?
Only once. Only once this year.
Okay. I don't
But
really.
they got Minnesota yet, and Minnesota's playing well.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, I'm looking at the schedule here. Ohio State, that's going to be, if you don't win that game, at Iowa is going to be a tough game. Maryland, at Indiana. Playing at Indiana is never easy. You got number 14 Illinois. You still have to go to Purdue. You have to play Rutgers, who you just lost to by 22 yet. I mean, if they lose tomorrow, I could see this record at the end of the season being 18-11. Easy, 18-12. And I don't think that makes the tournament, if I'm being honest, an 18-11, 18-12 record. So, yeah, they got to figure this out. And it starts tonight against Ohio State.
I mean, let's look at some of the keys for this game. You look at that last matchup that the Badgers had against Ohio State. One of the standout guys for Ohio State is Roddy Gale Jr., one of the guards for Ohio State. Very good player. Badgers actually held him to his second worst performance on the season there in their first matchup. Only had 9 points in that game in 34 minutes. So it's going to be another day. You're going to have to control Roddy Gale Jr. there. Bruce Thornton, he's going to get some points. You have a guy like Jamison Battle, he's going to score some buckets. But you got to control the three-point line. We got to remember that first game against Ohio State, Max Klesmit went off for 18 points in the second half. If Max Klesmit did not go off for 18 points, Badgers probably would have lost that game against Ohio State. That's what sparked the big run that Max Klesmit had there. So Badgers are going to need a good scoring output in this game. Ohio State is actually one of the worst teams defending the three. They are giving up an average of 36% from downtown. 36%. Opponents are making 36% of their threes against Ohio State right now. And actually, it's gotten worse as of late. The Buckeyes have actually allowed 46% as of late to teams. This is something interesting because the Badgers have been terrible from the three-point line as of late. So you have a terrible defensive team from the three-point line. You have a terrible shooting team right now in Wisconsin. Put the two together, which one's going to give? That's what I want to see in this one. What I'm getting out of that, Badgers are going to have a lot of looks. They are going to have a lot of looks from downtown in this game. And I'm going to tell you what, if Max Klesmit, I don't know about AJ Storr is going to come into this one as be a factor, but I'm looking at Max Klesmit, a guy like Chucky, and a guy like AJ Storr just going off of the starters there. But even guys like Essegian coming off the bench, they're going to have big games from the three-point line. They are going to have to be able to knock down open shots when they're there. This Ohio State team, they're going to pack the paint against Wisconsin. They are watching film on Wisconsin right now and saying, if the Badgers beat us from the three-point line, I guess we're just going to have to live with ourselves. Because you look at them right now, if I'm a team playing Wisconsin, we talk about Steven Crowell being soft, I'm doubling Crowell. And I'm preventing Tyler Wall from scoring around the basket. I'm allowing the Badgers to try and shoot the three ball because outside of Connor Essegian against Rutgers, nobody was hitting. Nobody was hitting threes. You can take it as far back as Nebraska game, and nobody is hitting shots right now for the Badgers. I'm hoping John Blackwell is going to be back for this game. They really need John Blackwell coming off the bench. They went as deep as Isaac Lindsley there against that Rutgers team. And I mean, I don't dislike Isaac Lindsley, but I don't think he brings to the table what John Blackwell does. They need Blackwell back. Like, more than anything right now, they need that scoring threat and the defense of John Blackwell coming off the bench. I don't know. I mean, looking at this matchup here, Akpara's got some length. Zed Key's got some length there for Ohio State. Two really good big guys for Ohio State. It's going to be tough. The Badgers are going to have to win this playing old Wisconsin basketball. I really think so. I think they're going to have to win in the paint. I mean, the Badgers have gone away from it. They've been trying to shoot the three ball predominantly over the past couple games here. You look, I mean, we just went through it yesterday, Rogan, but I think they were, 20-something for 80 in the last 4 games?
Yeah,
just terrible.
Horrible.
Just terrible. I mean, you got to win this game in the paint. You have to. You have to win this game in the paint first. They have to win points in the paint, rebounding. You have to win this game like Wisconsin used to win basketball games, and that's gritty. Because I don't think, barring that something fantastic happens and everybody breaks out of this cold spell at one time, I don't think it's going to happen. You have to rely on old Wisconsin basketball. If Greg Gard wants to save his job, he's calling Bo Ryan right now and asking him what to do, because Bo would know, right? Bo knows what to do. Right now, Wisconsin needs old Wisconsin basketball. Ground and pound, get in the paint, and let the big guys do the work, and get something out of Steven Crowl. Right now, over the past how many games, he's been terrible for the Badgers. He has been soft in the paint, not able to score it around the rim. And, I mean, rebounding has been atrocious. The guy's just a non-factor for the Badgers. He needs to show up in this game. You got to have big performance from guys in the paint in this one. Looking at the first matchup, like I said, it was Klesman and Storr. Those were the two big guys. 18 points and 17 points collectively. I think Ohio State's going to allow the three-point shot in this one. Can the Badgers knock it down? That's going to be a big key for me. So, Rogan, what are you leading up into this game here? I mean, what are some of the things you're thinking about right now with this Badger team? What they got to do in this game here to get back to winning ways?
The guards got to get going, and they got to be a lot more efficient. You know, you've been looking at Storr these last 4 games, and he has not played well. I mean, if Storr plays decent in that Purdue game, the Badgers win that Purdue game. He played horrible. I think he was 5 of 16 or 4 of 16 or something like that. And you look at this last game, and I believe his stat line was almost the exact same in that one. I think he was shot like 15, 16 times and only made about 4 or 5 of them again. So you look at a guy like Storr who has been our best player all year long, and now all of a sudden he's gone into a horrible 5 of 16 in the Rutgers game there. And all of a sudden he's gone into a horrible drought here, and now you're looking, and this offense has really been struggling ever since he has been struggling. So I think if he gets going again, I think this offense can play a lot better. And even Klesman the last couple of games, he's really cooled off. So this team, the guards have to start playing better, and they got to hit some shots. Like you were saying, the 3-point shooting recently has been horrible. And without some shooting from the outside, this team just can't win. You can't win in college basketball without 3-point shooting anymore. And again, 4-15 in that Purdue game. So between Purdue and Rutgers, 2 losses, he shot 9 of 31, which isn't going to win you any basketball game, especially from your best player.
Yeah, a lot of people look at that and they say, well, look at the points. Look at how many points he scored. I'm not looking at the points. I'm looking at how many shots it took for him to get those points. You can score 15 points, but if it takes you 20 shots to get me 15 points, that's not a good offensive output. Defensively, though, I have not seen good basketball out of the Badgers as of late. Defensively in this game, if you don't play well, the guards don't play well on the defensive end, Bruce Thornton and Jamison Battle are going to have a field day. They're going to go right around you, Roddy Gale to the hoop all day long. You watch this game, if the Badgers cannot figure out the ball screen in this one and figure out how to defend it, and the defensive intensity is not turned up in this one, we're going to see an ugly finish. We will see an ugly finish here in Madison. I don't know. This is a game that we're going to see it. We talked about it yesterday, Rogan. There was that Rutgers game. It looked like nobody wanted to be there. You have to, if the Badgers show up again like that, they show up flat in this game, and it doesn't look like guys really care, this is going to be bad. This Ohio State team you look at their record, they're not fantastic overall. It's not like they're the greatest team in the world. Looking at them, I was just trying to pull up they're 14-10. Not a great team overall, but this is still a good Ohio State team. They're not bad by any stretch. I would actually say this team is better than the Rutgers team you just faced. So I'm looking at this game and saying, you come out with the same intensity you came out with against that Rutgers team, or even against Michigan, this is going to be a bad one at the Kohl Center. I would venture to say it'll be at least a 10-point deficit for the Badgers at some point in this game if they come out like this again. Turnovers early in the game, got to avoid them. That's what we've seen as of late. A lot of turnovers from this Badgers team, especially early in the game. They bury themselves into holes. They went down 9-0 against Rutgers. They went down big against Michigan right away and couldn't come back. That's what they got to avoid in this game here. You have to come out hot. You have to set the tone of the game and let it keep going from there. Don't allow the other team to set the tone in this one, especially in your building. You're at the Kohl Center now. You're not playing at Rutgers. You're not playing at the RAC. You're not playing in Ann Arbor. You're playing at the Kohl Center now. You have to set the tone for this game. The Badgers are now, I would say, out of all the teams out there right now in the Big Ten, the Badgers need a win more than anybody else right now, because the way that it's looking, the Badgers are on the verge of playing on the first day of the Big Ten tournament, something that you want to avoid. A couple weeks ago, we were looking at this Badger team saying they got first round bye no matter what right now, and we're talking about big top seed in the tournament, everything like that. Now we're talking about this loss could put the Badgers out of the tournament. This could be the downfall of Wisconsin. That is just baffling how fast this has turned around. And I don't know how quickly Greg Gard and the Badgers can turn the ship back around. That's the biggest worry from me right now. It can't just be improvement. It's got to be a major improvement right now for the Badgers. And definitely something has to happen in this game here. So I'm looking key players in this game for me, Steven Crowl, and I'm going to say Max Klesmit. We haven't seen anything out of Max in these last 4 games, really, and we haven't seen anything out of Steven Crowl. Those two have to come up big for the Badgers here to pull off a win against Ohio State. I really do think they have to. We got to control the paint, and we got to be able to knock down shots, and I think those two guys are going to have that ability in this game. Can they do it? That's the question. So, Austin, who are your key players to watch out for here in this game against Ohio State?
I'm looking at AJ Storr, and I know he'll be able to score the amount of points. I'm looking at his shot decisions that he's trying to make. Is he gonna? I don't know. That did not come out the right way, but the
shot
decisions
selection.
that he makes.
Just say shot selection.
Yeah, shot selection. That's a good word to.
There we go.
I'm looking at that because some of them has been very questionable. Obviously, he's gonna be able to score the ball, but sometimes when he shoots the ball, it's not the best. And even against Rutgers, the announcers are like, Greg Gard's probably not happy with that shot selection right there. So looking at that, and honestly, I'm looking at anyone in between in the paint, like Tyler Wall, Steven Crowl, like those two guys mainly because they're the ones that play the most. Are they going to be effective? We haven't really seen that a whole lot, and that's kind of what was the downfall of this Badger team is other teams were able to figure out what we were trying to do. And not really even figure out what we're trying to do because it's obvious what we're trying to do, but just be able to prevent what we're trying to do. So definitely looking at those 3 guys in this upcoming matchup.
Rogan, who do we got? Key players, Wisconsin, Ohio State.
Yeah, I'm going with the guards, like I was kind of saying before, between Storr there and Klesmit and Chucky. Chucky's got to do something. Klesmit's got to do something. And like Austin was saying, I'm looking at Storr's decision making. I'm kidding. His shot. This
is not a bullying session. All right. Don't want to hear it.
Yeah, but Austin was dead on. I think he takes some really bad shots sometimes. When he waits for good shots and really attacks the rim is when he's at his best. So I'm just looking for him to be more efficient because if he can score that points that he's usually scoring every game, but at an efficient level, this team is really good. But you see these last 3-4 games, he hasn't been. And look, they're on a 4-game losing streak now. So definitely the guards for me.
100% agree with you both there. And, a lot of working within the offense. I think that's a lot of what we've been getting away from. The biggest thing I emphasized early on in the season versus now, the difference in the offense, moving without the basketball, moving to get shots, get open, cutters, everything like that slowly started to go away for this Badger team. And it's something they got to get back to if they want to get back to winning ways. So the worst 2 things you can say, 8 o'clock tip on Peacock. 8 o'clock tip on Peacock. It couldn't be a 6 o'clock game. It's got to be that 8 o'clock game, but should be, I'm hoping for a Badger win and to get back on winning ways. They should. This team's got to come out with fire in this one, and they got to be able to win this one. So Badgers, Ohio State, 8 o'clock tip on Peacock coming from the Kohl Center. Other teams in action, Marquette will be taking on Butler, men's basketball there, Marquette versus Butler, and then women's basketball, Marquette is also in action versus DePaul. So 2 big matchups there, Marquette men's and women's, both in action. But with that, I want to get to our sports stories of the day. I'm going to get to Austin right away. Gone yesterday. He's got to have a big one for me. Austin, what do you got? Sports story of the day.
Yeah, my sports story is coming out of the Dallas Cowboys. They reached an agreement on Monday with Mike Zimmer to make the former Minnesota Vikings coach Dallas's new defensive coordinator. We knew that Dan Quinn, their old defensive coordinator, went to Washington for the Commanders job. So now they add Mike Zimmer to their coaching staff here. They were looking at maybe adding Rex Ryan, but it looks like he's going to be staying with ESPN. So Mike Zimmer, it looks like, is going to be the new defensive coordinator for the Cowboys, which working with Mike McCarthy is going to be interesting considering they were coaching against each other for I feel like the longest time.
I like it. We actually talked about Mike Zimmer for the Packers defensive coordinator job. So I like the hire if you are the Cowboys. I think it's a good one.
Yeah, no, that hire for the Cowboys, I think that's a home run. He's a really good defensive coordinator, and you give him the guys that the Cowboys have, and that could be real deadly. But my sports story of the day today, Trage, is Caitlin Clark. She is 8 points away from setting the all-time scoring record in college basketball for women's, and I was just kind of looking at some of these stats from her career, and they're kind of insane. She just became the one of 6 players ever, I believe, on Sunday to have 1,000 assists in her career. So not only is she about to have the most points in NCAA career, but also 1,000 assists. And out of 125 games at Iowa, she has scored 20 plus in 110 of them.
Holy crap.
Like that, I think that stat for me kind of puts it in perspective because I didn't realize, I knew she was really good, but to score 20 plus in 110 out of 125 games that you've played is absolutely insane. And she's amazing. I saw, did you guys see the lines for her game on Sunday? 6 blocks long to get into the arena for her game Sunday.
Holy
6 blocks.
I heard that the Badgers did sell out when she came to town. I mean, just ridiculous.
It was insane when she was in here. I've never seen this many people for a women's basketball game in Madison, and they were all coming to see her.
She's changed the game. She has changed the game. She has put college women's basketball back on the map. That is for sure. I know I'm not big into watching, I'll watch the March Madness for the men's. I'm not big into watching it for women's. But it seemed like every time Caitlin Clark was on, I was tuning into that game. That's just, she blew records for that even. Just people watching that tournament performance last season there was baffling. So, with that, anything else we got for the day here?
No, sir,
we got nothing across the board. Big day coming up here. We got the Bucks in action. We got the Badgers looking to bounce back against Ohio State at the Kohl Center tonight. We got Marquette in action, men's and women's. So big day in college and professional basketball there. But with that, this has been Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. Thank you guys for listening. We'll catch you guys back here tomorrow. But until then, deuces.